I have a special book. It's about Daniel. But not only is it about Daniel, it's about when Daniel was thrown into the lion's den. Do you know what lions do when people are thrown into their den? They eat them. Oh no! Let's read this book and find out what happened to Daniel. Daniel was a young boy who lived long ago in the city of Jerusalem. One day a great army came to Jerusalem and captured all the people. The soldiers took Daniel and many others far away to a strange land to work for their king. Daniel was called to work in the royal palace. He worked very hard at all he was given to do. Daniel had been taught at home about God, and he prayed to God every morning, noon, and night. He knew God was helping him do his work well. Many years passed. Daniel continued to work in the palace. He was always honest and wise in what he did. The king grew to love Daniel. He put Daniel in charge of his kingdom, and Daniel never made any mistakes. Other men working for the king were jealous of Daniel. They didn't want him to rule over them, so they tried to catch him doing something wrong. But Daniel only did what was right. Daniel knew that his wisdom came from God, and he prayed faithfully to God 3 times every day. The bad men knew they would have to trap Daniel into doing something wrong if they wanted to get rid of him. So they went to the king and said, "O king, make it a law that for 30 days no one can ask anyone but you for help. Anyone who breaks the law will be thrown into the lion's den." The king thought this was a wonderful idea. He didn't know the men were trying to trick Daniel. Daniel heard about the new law, but he still went to his room to pray and to ask God to help him do what was right. When the sneaky men saw Daniel praying, they ran to the king and said, "Daniel has been praying to God instead of you, asking for help. He must be thrown into the lion's den." Oh my, how sad the king was. He didn't want to hurt Daniel. He tried for a long time to think of a way to save Daniel, but he couldn't change the law. Finally, the king ordered Daniel to be thrown into the lion's den with the hungry, roaring lions. Oh my! He called to Daniel, "Your God, whom you serve, will save you." Then the king slowly walked back to the palace. He was so upset he couldn't eat or sleep. He kept thinking of Daniel trapped with all those fierce lions. Early the next morning, the king ran to the den and shouted, "Daniel, Daniel, has your God saved you?" Daniel answered, "God sent an angel to close the lion's mouth." they've not hurt me." How happy the king was! He commanded that Daniel be taken out of the den, and the bad men that tried to trick Daniel be thrown into the lions instead. Then the king made a new law that everyone in his kingdom should pray to Daniel's God, because he saved Daniel from the terrible lions. 3 times every day, Daniel prayed to God, and God gave him wisdom and courage to do what was right. God will give you all that you need to do right, too. All you have to do is ask Him. No need to be afraid of lions when you ask God for help.